like we before the show, Peter and I were. He said he used to have his guns in the back of his car. I used to take my gun on the bus to school because I was on the shooting team. We had a shooting team at school. So the guns, the instruments of destruction, are not really that relevant. They could have used pressure cooker bombs or whatever they wanted to do. So what motivates a child has pushed a child to get to the point where they feel it's compelled to do this. And this is my theory. I think one variable is that kids today are taught in the theory of evolution. And if you follow that to its natural progression, the theory of evolution is there was nothing, and out of some freak accident, everything, and out of everything there was this one orb that was circling the sun, and over time cooled down, and it just happened to be exactly the right distance. It was not only exactly at the right distance, it was rotating at exactly this right rate so that it never heated up too much in one spot. It's almost like a spigot going around the sun. So it just happened to be exactly in the right location for life to be created there. Life was an inadvertent accident, chemical reaction, maybe electricity or lightning had something to do with it, and the first life was created, and over millions of years and millions of inadvertent events, humankind started walking on the earth, and over more coincidental, freakish accidents, Homo sapiens were evolved out of that single-cell creature millions and millions of years ago.
A completely random event.
All random events, just a coincidence.
Okay.
If you're a child raised in a situation and you're depressed, you could look at that particular piece of information and conclude that we are no better or worse than any other parasite on the planet. And if you follow the logic of the science in school today, not only are you a parasite on the planet, you are destroying that host that you were born on. So that's one variable, hopelessness, no point. You have no point in your life. 2, 40% of the boys in the United States of America are raised without a biological role model in the home. Most girls are, 90-something%, but 40% of boys are raised without a biological role model in the home. That's only exacerbated in African American communities like Chicago or D.C., where 75% of the boys are raised with no biological role model in the home. That's risen from the 60s. In D.C., only 25% of the kids were raised that way. Now it's 75%. And the rest of the society, it was like 90% of us growing up had our role model, our dad, in the home. That is no longer the case. So when a boy is looking up to somebody for guidance, they're not there, and mom doesn't do. 3, we had Professor Smith from UNH on the show. I don't know, when it was Matt and I had him on, I don't know, about 4 years ago, talking about mass shootings, and he reluctantly admitted that one of the commonalities between all the mass shootings is 75% of them and he was reluctant. He didn't want to talk about this. But I kind of nailed him down on it. But over 75% of the kids involved in mass shootings either were or are on psychotropic drugs.
That's a high percentage.
It's a huge percentage.
That's huge.
And if you look at the psychotropic drugs, one of the warnings always is suicidal ideations. I'm sorry. All right? Well, if you have a tendency to want to commit suicide on a drug, it only stands to reason that some people want to do homicide on a drug because it's basically a different side of the coin. I believe the 4th variable, and this is a big one that is easily controlled, is every boy, I think all of us would agree that most boys desire to be superheroes. That's why there's so many superhero movies. That's why one of my favorite movies growing up was King Arthur, knight in shining armor. Man from La Mancha was an entire play built around the desire to fight dragons, and it's just a male, predominantly male trait that we have this desire to be heroes or to do something profound in our lives. And especially at a young age, in a teenager, that's even heightened because they're still not that close to reality yet. And the flip side of that is to be a supervillain. Well, any child, teenager that shoots up a school in today's society becomes a supervillain. They are all over the media, all over the world. Everybody knows their name, what they look like, what they did. They become a supervillain in a matter of just a few minutes with a few guns. And I think the fact that the national press, Fox News, ABC, it doesn't matter which one, publicizes this kid's face, his name, is profoundly irresponsible. You should not know what that kid looks like or his name. The only people you should know about or hear about are the heroes on the scene that help people out and save them. And to me, if we address those four things, I think we would go a long way to going back to where we were in the 70s when you didn't hear about school shootings. That's my tirade for today.
Good job.